keep our eyes to the sky as the shooters deploy their red, white, and blue parachute. Keith Walter with smoke and Paul Sessions with the U.S. flag. And there is the flag, ladies and gentlemen.
You're at the air show and you hear that booming voice. Let's put a face behind the voice that describes the acts, calms us if something happens in this episode.
In the hangar.
You know, when people hear at the air show that they're going to, they hear that Rob Lowe is going to be announcing. I wonder if they're disappointed when you show up, Rob.
Hey, Dan, Gretta, good morning.
Rob Lowe.
Good morning.
You're not the Rob Lowe that some people expect.
That's true, but as the infamous Danny Clisham always says, I am the real Rob Lowe.
All right, you
So
are
there
the
we go.
real Rob Lowe. And air show announcing. How do you get into something like that?
Well, you know, it's one of those opportunities for me, Dan, that really came out of a passion for two things. You and I have been around each other a few years, and I am an absolute aviation nut since I was a kid. Love airplanes down to my core. But I've been doing sports stadium PA for about 25 years,
wow.
and started out at one of my son's high school baseball games.
All right.
Nobody was in the booth. I had a little bit of radio time way back in the day, so I thought, well, I'll give it a try. Well, since then, been doing an awful lot of high school, NCAA, semi-pro baseball, those kind of things. So I've been very fortunate. Then the opportunity for me came along about 8 or 9 years ago at Alliance, Texas, at their air show to put my two passions together. And folks like Danny Clisham and Luke Carrico and Rob Ryder and others gave me opportunities to tag along with them, and here I am.
Doing sports, you know, play-by-play, you're talking all the time, very unscripted. For an air show, is it much more scripted?
You know, it really depends. Our job is to create the best fan experience that we can at an air show. And that varies from show to show, how they've constructed the show. But we also want to help present that performer the way that performer desires to be presented. So some of them give us very specific scripts that we read word for word. Some of them just give us bullets. Some of them just say, hey, you know me, talk about me, play a lot of music, and I'll fly. So it really varies from show to performer, but our job is to enhance the fan experience beyond what they're seeing with their eyes. Help them hear and see the things that they can't intuitively know just by watching the airplane perform.
So would you say most shows that you do, like, do you more often get scripts or guidance on what you're going to say from the show itself or the performer, or it's just...
It almost always comes from the performer when we're talking about the performer. They market themselves, and we work really hard to help them market themselves the way they want to. And they all have a different style. But we also do a lot of work for the show organizers or sponsors that put that on. There's always a lot of, as you can imagine, sponsor reads, right? They've paid for time, they have contracts. But we also have a public awareness and safety function where we need to tell people where can they get first aid, where can they find water, where's the food at, right? Those, and if we need to evacuate, there's always that. If there were to be an incident, we're the voice that works with incident command and law enforcement to help do the evacuation or whatever.
And speaking of sponsor reads, we're here at the Flying Eyes booth at AirVenture, and they are help sponsoring this show, and it's amazing. And if you guys can go to flyingeyesoptics.com, incredible sunglasses and glasses. These are the best things under helmets and headsets. If you use our discount code, taking off all caps, one word, you can get 10% off, flyingeyesoptics.com. Also, clemensinsurance.net. These guys go to bat for you with the underwriter, and when I switched over to them, they saved me over $1,000 on my airplane policy. So clemensinsurance.net. So that's our sponsor reads.
Awesome, very familiar with those. And you did it very well, by the way.
Thank you. You've recently retired from your day job. How are you leaning into doing more and more? And is this what you're going to do? And is it just going to be air shows? Are you going to head more into NCAA? And what's your plan?
Well, my air show business, I've been very blessed, has really exploded over the last few years. And so that I have really walked away from the sports stadium PA, except I fill in occasionally for a few places if somebody calls in sick or they have an announcer go down. I still do some commencement at a university in Texas, those sort of things.
That's exciting play-by-play there.
It is. You get 800 or 900 names in a weekend is a little bit of a challenge. But really and truly, air shows is where my passion is right now, and I'm doing 17 different shows this year.
Wow.
About 70 show days total for the year. So that's keeping me on the road. I was just thinking a minute ago that I've been home in my house about 3 nights in the last month. So
That's what you get for retiring.
That's right. I don't know how I ever had time to go to work, but this is it's really where I want to be, and things are really exciting. Have the opportunity to do some things beyond just showing up and being the announcer. To help ICAS, our International Council of Air Shows.
Okay.
They do some great things for our industry, and now with a little bit of free time, I'm hoping to help them as well.
So as with any job in aviation, I got to ask, do you actually make money at it?
Yeah.
Well, my goal is to get down the road and not go in the negative, go in the red. So yes, we do get paid.
Okay.
And we are in my opinion, very well compensated. Each show is different, right? It's an
Okay.
individual contract with every show. But announcers, most of the producers, virtually all of them, recognize the announcers kind of their key face of their air show.
Okay.
And so we are fortunate that we've got some great promoters around the country that do a really good job of helping us get down the road and not lose money doing it. So.
I'm a puzzle person. I love figuring things out. So as I think about this, and I work in marketing, and when you're trying to get clients, we do film and video. When you're trying to get clients, if they're already using film and video, they already have a company. If they're not using film and video, then they don't want to use me. So relating that to developing new air show announcing business, do you find that, how hard or easy is it to get new gigs? Like they already have an announcer, or they, what's that like?
So how it works is most of our exposure comes at the annual ICAS convention in December. It's in Las Vegas every year. We all have a booth there, and that's where show promoters, military, civilian, are usually in attendance. You have the opportunity for them to get exposed to you, but honestly, what I've found this industry is word of mouth more than anything.
Okay.
And getting in and building a reputation, which I've been very fortunate, like I said, I've been very blessed to do that. The shows seek us out. Like you, we have a website. We try to hit social media, try to boost the show through our personal channels, but also, get our exposure through theirs as well. And honestly, there are more air shows than we have announcers. Quite honestly,
really?
Across the United States. Big major shows, typically those are the shows that my peers and I are hitting, but there's a lot of little air shows that are still pulling in the local radio DJ or the Susie or Billy from town that has a DJ company, right?
Right.
And so they, in my opinion, they kind of suffer from an announcing standpoint for the fans. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, and it really is, like you said, about marketing yourself. And then I have, like I said, been very blessed. I've turned down 10 shows this year.
You turned down work.
And doing 17. So 17 was about all I thought I could get down the road and do, and still, have a life at home. So.
Your favorite airplanes that you've been able to announce?
Wow, that is a tough question. Probably the most enjoyable recent memory I have is the Maryland Air National Guard A-10s, who are here at OshKosh.
Oh.
Probably the last time you may see an A-10 fly in an air show in this country. That's possible because they've sped up the divestment of those airplanes out of the military, including the Air National Guard. Maryland was supposed to get rid of theirs in 26, and I just heard they're accelerating them, and they may be getting rid of them this year. They're the last Air National Guard. The Air Force, regular Air Force, the A-10 demo is gone. It's done.
I didn't realize that.
And these folks do a 4-airplane close air support troops in contact demo that I've been with them in 2 different shows
with
this
pyros.
year. One was over water, so no
Right,
pyro.
okay.
But they do a troops in contact 4-ship just as they do it in combat. And with the script they give us, I get to play not only the announcer, but also the JTAC controller that's proposed to be on the ground calling in the airstrikes. Those are really fun. But as far as favorite performers, it's just a long list, and it's hard to pick them out for sure.
Well, I especially appreciate that that's one of your favorites because that's where I'm from, Maryland, and I actually see them all the time. So I actually had the opportunity to see their performance from a unique perspective a few weeks back. They were actually performing in the Ocean City AIRSHOW, and I was in one of the banner planes towing in between performances.
Oh, wow, I was the announcer there.
Oh, wow.
You were? Oh, well,
I
we
was.
almost met before
That's
then.
right. Small world, right?
Well, I watched their performance from the air from the Circle Point over the
That's
casino.
awesome. As you know, we fought the rain and clouds that whole weekend.
Oh,
and
yes.
we were able to sneak them in on one day, which was awesome.
Yes, that was really great, especially to see from the air.
Yeah.
When you're announcing, what if something goes wrong? What do you have to do?
So one of the things that is imperative for us as announcers is to manage the crowd that can hear us.
Okay.
And so we work before an air show occurs very intently and intensely with law enforcement, first responders, fire, crash rescue. There's a response plan that is organized for every air show that has to be approved by the FAA. We are an integral part of that. If an incident were to happen, one of the first things you will hear us do is get on the frequency or on the microphone with a calm voice and calm the crowd down, ask them to stay where they are, assure them that we have the best responders in place taking care of it. But things like, don't cross any fences to go help. People want to go help. They want to jump the fence and go help pull the
Right.
flyer out of the airplane. That's probably the worst thing. Not only puts them in danger, but they get in the way of our racing fire trucks and whatever
Right.
else is occurring, right? We also sometimes have to move first responders through the crowd. Sometimes our ambulances or fire equipment are staged for other events. We sometimes have popcorn fryers that catch fire, so, back in the crowd area. So we've got to be able to respond to any of that. We don't necessarily take that messaging when it comes to directing the crowd to either evacuate or move left or move right or whatever it is. We get that direction from law enforcement, and once they establish an incident command for the event, they're on this typically on the air boss stage with us. It's the air boss, first responders, us on that stage, so they're as close as I am to you, and we follow their direction. But before that, virtually every announcer should, if they don't, but all of us use what we call a last page. And that is in the emotion of the event, recognizing that I may have just witnessed something that I didn't, that's horrific possibly, right? We typically write those out. Those first few minutes are written on a book and we keep them handy. And I got it on a clipboard and I just flip it over. And some of that messaging I just described is there, so that if I'm thinking about something else or I'm emotionally caught up in it, I can just calmly read it and the messaging goes there. One of our fellow announcers has another really unique track that I've copied, and that goes to an audio track that has some of that verbiage in both English and Spanish. And the reason that's really a important thing is our voices become white noise after a little while, right?
Oh,
you've been
right.
here for 3 hours and you've heard me talk about every wonderful performer and tell you where to buy a hot dog and all that good stuff, and now all of a sudden I need your attention. The change in voice tone and person catches that in addition to what may or may not have just happened. More times than not, it's not something major like a crash. Typically it's maybe somebody had a medical event and we have to evacuate them, or we've just got an event where something got blown out into the safety area and we have to stop and go collect it, and we just need people to stay back or something.
I think about like play-by-play announcers in football. They're there the whole week or a few days before, and they're milling about with the players and the coaches and getting all sorts of information that they can. Is that something you do with the air show performers?
Yeah, very similar. We may not be in person because the air show, well, as you know, aviation is a small family, right? Just like we were at the same air show and didn't even know it, right? And if you're around aviation people like here at OshKosh, it takes about 2 minutes to do the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing, right?
Right.
Air show family is actually even smaller than that. We're almost a band of gypsies that travel around the country. And so I know them well. Virtually, now it's rare for me to run into a performer that I don't know or have already worked with, but I always connect with them before every show, and I'm doing that 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance of every show, either on the phone or with email, getting their information, making sure they don't have updated sponsors, those kind of things, making sure I'm presenting them the way that they want to be presented, and then also with the show promoter, to make sure that I'm getting all those other announcements and any peculiarities about show site and logistics. And then there's also the part of just getting us there. We've got to get there. We have to, typically there's a hotel, there's a rental car, there's, badging, wristbands to get in, all those sort of things all come into that pregame, if you will, time as we're preparing.
So this is, I mean, a huge amount of work. I mean, you say you do 17 shows this year, and then, oh, that's 17 different shows, weekends, whatever. It doesn't seem like much, but really, that's a huge, I can't imagine doing more than that with all the behind-the-scenes work.
Yeah.
It's involved in the prep and everything. That's a lot.
It's a pretty constant thing, but it's a strategy I learned in my day job many years ago. If I handle it now, handle it quick, I can touch it once, file it, move it, whatever. That's typically how I do it. I kind of have a, get it things rolling as it comes up.
The procrastination strategy is not a real good.
It is a strategy. It's probably not a good one.
Okay. Last question I have for you. So to get that good air show gravelly voice, I mean, like, are you in secret over there smoking like 6 packs real quick? Or
Scotch.
what do you do to? Yeah.
Right.
That's where it's got.
No magic, and it just I'm blessed with the voice God gave me, and I've been very, very fortunate that it's been something that has been a real passion for mine, and the move from sports to air show really was. Just a real blessing for me. But ironically, you asked about sports. If I can go down a little rabbit hole real quick.
Let's do it.
One of the really interesting things that I discovered, I grew up around in New Mexico, around rodeo a little bit. And if you know a guy named Bob Tallman, world famous Hall of Fame rodeo announcer, have gotten to know Bob. Well, I, years ago, attended a rodeo announcer seminar, and I've done a little bit of rodeo here and there. Ironically, I learned more about being an air show announcer at the rodeo announcer seminar than anywhere else. And what's ironic about that, you may not think about it, but rodeos are very parallel to air shows. Air shows have a promoter or a city or an airport. Rodeos have a committee or a city or whatever, so you got that same thing. They have the same sponsor needs. We have airborne flying performers. They have
sometimes airborne flying performers.
Right, sometimes, but more importantly, the thing that's most parallel to air shows is their specialty acts, like the trick roper or the clown or some of that. So that coordination and building those relationships and learning how to work with them and learning how to market them, in addition to you being, marketing yourself, it's incredibly parallel. And I thought your audience might find that interesting. Most people just go, I had no thought that rodeo would be the closest thing to air shows, but it really is.
And actually, I could see probably rodeo performers and pilots personality-wise kind of being maybe a little similar.
Makers, willing to live on the edge a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, Rob, thank you so much. If people want to check out your webpage or your contact info, what is that?
You can find me at rlairshows.com. On social, I'm at rlairshows. Okay. And easy to find on the web all over.
And that way they can go there and see which shows you're in, those 17, so that they can make sure they attend, and they can put a face behind that voice when the planes are flying by.
Absolutely. We'd love to see you. If you're ever at an air show and I'm there, come by the announcer stand and say hi. I'd love to meet you.
And then our second batch of sponsor reads. So I want to thank Colton Mortgage, Colton Taking Off. If you need a residential mortgage or a refi, these guys, it's pilot run, and they love to help you. And so check out Colton Taking Off. Also, we have 67 Designs, the best mounts for your plane, your car, your auto, 67D.com. Marshall Protective Services, Personal Protection Elevated, MPSProtects.com, and Z-Vision, XEVision.com, the brightest landing and taxi lights out there. I have a couple on Lola, wingtip lights. They just are amazing, XEVision.com. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time in the hangar.